you understand basic music and chords and how songs work, maybe you're getting into recording and maybe you want to add just a little bit of flair, a little bit of texture to your songs. Why not learn the piano? Maybe you've always thought about it. Now's a great time. First thing you need to know is just how to find what the notes are on the piano. And if you just look for these two black ones and go to the left of that, that's C. If you know how music works, you know that these white keys are one letter apart. So to figure out where you are, find the two black ones, find the C, and then just use your alphabet. So if we're going backwards, B, A. There's A. So A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And then it starts over. So you notice that the G is right here between, you got these three black keys, and to the left between the two, this is G. And there's going to be a G here, 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 and way down here. So first chord we're going to learn is G. And when you're playing piano, it's really easy to use the one. On piano, one is your thumb, and your middle finger is 3, and then your pinky is 5. And so 1, 3, and 5, and those are the notes you're going to play on the keyboard here. So find the G. Remember, it's the 3 black ones. Go to the left. There's your G. Now, with most chords, you're going to play a triad. On the guitar, you have 6 strings, but on piano, we're just playing 3 notes for a chord. On a guitar, you're playing 3 notes on 6 different strings, but it's really only 3 notes. And so on the piano, it's just those 3. So you play the 1, 3, and the 5. And so we're going to go 1, we're going to skip 1, 3, and 5. So your notes are G, B, and D. There's your G chord, and you want to use those fingers. You can do it like this or some other mix of that, but really it's good practice to do this. So 1, 3, 5. Now, if you're playing along with a band or trying to accompany yourself on guitar with the piano, it's good to play what's called an octave. So you find the G down here. If you get confused, remember the 2 black ones. The C is to the left, and then count backwards with your letters. C, B, A, G, and then you see where that is. You find the other one with your pinky. That's called an octave. They're 8 notes apart. It's the same note. So you got G here, add in the 3 and the 5. Now we've got a G chord. It's a nice sound, and you can mix that up with different rhythms. It's really easy. If you're playing a song in common time, just hit this on the downbeat, hold it. It sounds good. Now you're going to need to change chords, and so let's say our next chord is C. Well, you remember where the C is. You got your 2 black ones. Look to the left. There's your C, the 1, 3, and 5. And on G and C, everything's on the white key, so it makes it easy. So 1, 3, 5. There's your C chord. Same thing, find the C, 2 black ones to the left, make an octave. Now you've got a nice C sound, and you can go between those. So you can play on the downbeat, or you can play on just quarter notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives you a nice ballad kind of sound. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go to G. 2, 3, 4. If you want to add a little bit extra in there, you can alternate between the 3 and the 5, and your 1. The 1 is called the tonic. That's what the chord is named for, is the first note in that chord. So your C tonic, you alternate between that and your 3 and your 5. So you can do eighth notes with that. It gives you a little bit different sound. So I'm going to start with these 2. again, I'm just doing these octaves on the tonic down here, and I'm alternating on this side. Nice little ballad kind of sound there. Now, you gotta have at least 3 chords in most songs, and then the next one is D. Now with D, we go 1 up from C. Now you notice we added a black key in there because D chord has an F sharp in it. So your 1 is your D, you skip the E, you got an F sharp. If you know anything about music theory, you know that that's also in the key of G, but that's your 3rd note in the D chord. If you do just an F, it's going to give you a D minor. You need the D or the F sharp to make that work. So now we got 3 chords: D, C, G, and we're just alternating on those. So just like when you were learning chords on the guitar, you need to get to where you can change from them quickly. So you want to just do this and practice going from G, C, D, C, G, C, D, C. Just practice that over and over again. If you get good at that, then you can start trying to mix it up a little bit. It sounds really good to add a 4th note into the chord, and then instead of making it like this, instead of making the C like this, we're going to use 1, 2, and 3 here. And then you're going to add the octave. You're going to put it on top. Now if you want to do that little 8th note rhythm, so that putting the tonic on the top gives it a little more feel. That might be a stretch for you. So instead of doing the 4-finger chord, you can just do a 3-finger chord like this. It's the same notes, your C, E, and G, but you put the C on top. That's a different voicing. It gives you a little bit different tone for the chord, and you put it brings out the tonic because you put it on top, and especially if you've got it on the octaves down here, it's a good sound. So that's one thing you can do. You can do different, those are called inversions when you switch what notes you're doing. So your C, E, and G, you can flip it around. You can put the C on top, put the E on top, or put that G on top. Those are all C chords. And you want to get to where you can change those quickly. You can also do the same with the 4-finger chords. You can put the E on top, it's still a C chord. You can put the G on top, it's still a C chord. Or you can put that C on the top. Those are still different voicings of the same chord. So C, those are all C's. Okay, that's a little more complicated. Let's mix up some of those chords. Now you get a little more musical if you do the different inversions, the different voicings. And let's see, we're going to keep with G, C, and D. But how about let's try this. I'm going to put the G on top. So I still got the 1, 3, and 5. But I'm going to take these 2, move them down here. And I'm going to do the G on this end. So I've got the G in the tonic on top. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. That's a fun sound, right? So G, go down here. And see, it's a little more musical if you do it that way. You can mix things up. You've got the same notes. So once you know that the 1, 3, and 5 work, you can experiment and see what sounds best with your songs. It's easy to add these into like a slow ballad if you're writing songs, and especially if you have a song that doesn't change chords a whole lot. It can add a lot of texture just to do this on the downbeat and just hold it and then change. If you've got a moving bass line, you can add in some some leading notes there. But what a fun way to just go G, D, C. And I'm keeping that tonic on the top there. So it's the same 3 notes. There's the G on top. And then I move down here. It's that same shape. You got 1, 2, and 5 with your fingers. I'm just playing G, C, D right there. G, C, D. Same thing with my left hand. I'm doing the octaves on that. G, C, D. So you can mix up your rhythm. Those are called arpeggios when you kind of break up the chord there and play different rhythms. You can, as long as you know what notes go in the chord, then you can experiment in lots of different ways. I'm just playing those same 3 chords, and you can keep it simple. You can do the same 3-finger chord in both hands. You just have to experiment with different rhythms and different voicings of the chords. That's the main thing. It's different on a guitar. You really usually only play 1 or 2 voicings of the same chord. On the piano, you get a bunch of different sounds depending on what note you put on top. That high note's going to stand out. So experiment with that and keep playing.